All right, it looks like we are live. Welcome everybody to the Maverix Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. It's Alicia Drew here, and today I am joined with the lovely Regina Floyd, who is out in Hawaii. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Sorry, I was muted for there for a moment. I'm doing awesome. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm coming at you today from lovely Bay Area, California. So it's just going to be Regina and I today, and we've got something really fun to talk about. Well, I think it's really fun to talk about. And yes, we are going to be dropping the F-bomb throughout this entire broadcast. And it's probably not the F-bomb that you're thinking of and the one that most people would think of. And if you are with us live today, or even if you are watching the replay at some point, if you think you know what that is in regards to building a business, being an entrepreneur, if you think you know what that F-bomb is that you need to succeed, drop it in the comments below, as we'd love to know what you think it is. So with that being said, we're going to get to that a little bit later. But I want to share with you guys a little bit of a story about what happened with me and the breakthrough I had when I first got going online. And for those of you that may or may not know, I got going probably almost 3 years ago now. And my partner, John Paul, who couldn't be with us today, he actually began in our online business first. And I had absolutely no idea what it was that he was doing. But I trusted him and his instincts, so I never questioned it, of course. And then there was a point in my life where I made a decision to take a look at what he was doing. And that's another story for another day for those of you that don't know it. But when I did, I just dived in to what I could see. I dived into the information. I dived into this brand new world of marketing, this unbelievable idea that you could build a business online and have a life at the same time. And when I think about it now, I really wish that I had discovered this many, many years ago. I don't know if you feel the same way, Regina, but I had previously been traveling all over the world, performing in shows. And I had all the time in the world during most of the days to do whatever I felt like. So I would explore all the different things and places in the country where I was at. But if I knew back then what I know now, I would have started this at least 10 years ago. And Regina, I'm sure you can relate to that, yeah?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. Holy cow. Way different place now.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we're here to share with everybody that's out there today, whether you're within our community or you're thinking of getting started by hitting the link below, or you're looking to just do something different. There's a lot of people out there that want to make an income online. They know that there's something out there that they can do, but they just don't know how to get started. They just don't know what it is that can take them to the success that they want to achieve. And that's what we're going to be sharing with you today. And the things that are inside our community and the things that we can share with you about the power of the internet and how you can connect with people all over the world and truly help people. It's absolutely mind-blowing once you understand what you can achieve. You know, and for those of you out there that are thinking, wow, you know, this is just a way to make a quick buck, you know, I'm not really interested in helping people. This is not what we're about here. We're truly interested in actually helping people achieve their dreams. Because it's not really about the money, it's what the money can actually do for you and the experiences that you can gain in your life and truly be free. And freedom has a different definition for everybody out there. And freedom, the F-bomb, is not freedom. Just so you all know out there, that is not the F-bomb that we're talking about today. Although freedom is a huge part of what we do here, and everybody has a different meaning of what freedom is to them. So I got started, and I, at the time, was a magnificent multitasker. And I thought that that would serve me really, really well when it came to building an online business, because there's so much noise out there in the marketplace. There's so many different websites and links and, you know, communication that we can have with people all over the place online. And I thought I could do it all at once. I thought this is going to be great. I can sit over here and I can make my blog post, and then I can chat with this person on Facebook over here about the business. Then I can write my email and have that window open as well. And I can do all of these things at once. And over time, I realized, it took me a little while. I think that was mainly because I didn't want to accept it. But it took me a while to realize that it actually wasn't serving me at all. Because what we're going to be talking to you today about why that is. Why, if your mind is all over the place in 1,000 different directions, especially when you're building a business online and you're an entrepreneur, how that is not going to serve you very well. So I had to accept that and move forward with a different mindset. And here's where it is. The F-bomb that we're talking about today is focus. Okay? And as a multitasker, I was focused, but I was focused on 1,000 different things at once. And when I stopped doing that, when I thought, wow, I got to focus on one thing, I really got to focus, I stopped doing all those other things I was doing, and I would allow a certain amount of time each day for one particular thing, and I would stick to that. And there are a ton of ways to do this, and it sounds very simple, but it's really not. Because before you know it, you're scrolling through the Facebook feed and you've just lost 30 minutes because you're watching someone else's video, you're commenting on somebody's status, and you're looking at what this person's doing over here. We all do it. And it's being aware that we're actually doing it. And if you do that all the time, the best thing to do is actually switch off the Facebook. Okay? You need to actually log out of Facebook and shut it off for a few hours. And for a lot of people, that's very, very difficult, especially with Facebook, I find in particular, and when you're building a business online, because a lot of the time we are using Facebook to build our business and to connect with people. But when you catch yourself wasting time just flickering through the news feed, that's when you've got to tell yourself, okay, I really need to switch this off for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, and focus on exactly what I'm doing right here, right now. Whether it's a blog post, whether it's an email to your list, whether it's finding the right image for your blog post, whatever it is, for me, that works really well. And I'm huge on Facebook with marketing and things like that. So that's why I'm using that example. But that goes for everything, every type of social media, every site that you can go to. Close off the windows. I know a lot of people are a victim of having all the little windows open at the top. And that really doesn't help because you just click back and forth from each one. So we really have to focus as entrepreneurs. And it sounds very simple, but it's actually not. And first of all, we need to realize and understand what we need to actually focus on. Because you can be focusing on something, but it may not be the right thing that you should be focusing on for your business. It may not actually serve you well. Inside our community, we have tons and tons of amazing trainings, but we also need to make sure that we're doing our income-producing activities. Okay, so when you're writing a blog post or you're writing an email to your list, that's not actually the income-producing activity. And this is where a lot of people don't really get this, especially when they first get started. It's when you syndicate that blog post. It's when you send that blog post out to your list. It's when you take the action and focus on getting that content out to other people so they can see it. That's when you're actually doing the income producing activity. And that's what you really need to focus on. Lots of people tend to train and train and train. They educate themselves, they listen to audios, they read books, and that's great. That's what we always preach every day as well. Reading, listening to audios, training, but there needs to be more of a balance. It's actually more. I think it's around 80-20, they usually say. 80% is actually needs to be income producing activities. And that's what a lot of entrepreneurs need to focus on. And a lot of the time, you will lose your focus sometimes. It happens to all of us all the time. And it's what you do to get that focus back. Getting all those ideas in your head and bringing it down to the priorities, what's actually important to you and what's going to be useful in your business at that point in time. Because as entrepreneurs, we don't have bosses. We don't have someone to tell us when we need to get up out of bed and what time we need to be at work. We don't have someone telling us what to do in that moment. I mean, you could have an accountability partner, which is great. You could have a community around you, but that person is probably not going to be there every 5 minutes to tell you what to do and ask you whether you've done it. So we really do have to focus amongst many, many other qualities as being an entrepreneur. But I believe that is one of the key qualities that you must possess if you're going to step into this arena. If you want to step into any kind of entrepreneurial opportunity, business, you have to have focus. If you don't have it, it's most likely going to break you because you're going to be all over the place. And often you'll think that you're accomplishing a lot, but you're actually not, because you're not getting the end result. And I used to remember this stat, but I'm not sure if I remember it now. But there was an extraordinary number of people that would buy info products online, educational products. And the amount of people that actually took action beyond that was very, very small amount of people. Most people, they'll take the action to actually invest in themselves, and they feel like they've accomplished something, which is great. But then they don't take the second step and actually open the information and dive into it and take action on it, because their focus shifts somewhere else. So I think that's huge in what we're doing. And if you do want to step inside this game, you really have to know that you got to focus only on a couple of things at once. This also goes for marketing strategies. There's a ton of strategies out there, and you can only choose to focus on a couple of them. And I learned that the hard way as well. Focusing on all the different types of social media marketing and things like that, it's really not going to serve you, because you're going to get overwhelmed. And that feeling of overwhelmment is something that I think most entrepreneurs have gone through as well, especially online. I don't know about you, Regina. Have you felt that awful, overwhelming feeling at times?
Oh, yeah. But I also think it's because of the focus issue. I joke all the time that I think I BD since I started marketing than I ever was before in my past life, because there's just so much coming at you. And ironically, I think for me, especially as I got deeper and farther along into working online, it seems as I decide to focus, then all of a sudden everything has heard that and comes towards me. All the shiny objects want to show up. And my daughter can attest to this, but many times I'll be here, just what you described, sitting here with 15 tabs open and on Facebook, and I'll have to tell myself, okay, focus. She'll hear me say, focus. I'm telling myself to focus. So yeah, I resonate with everything you've just said. That's why I've been laughing all along. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think every single entrepreneur would definitely resonate with this. And I've just seen in the comments, Dan said the failure bomb, which I thought was very interesting. That's a very good one indeed, actually. We could probably do part 2 of the F-bomb on the failure bomb, actually, with that one. But that was definitely a good guess, Dan. Very good.
And something else that came up is, not only the focus, but actually persisting. Because it's one thing to put your focus on something and then you're there for a few minutes, and then all of a sudden all these other things come along and you don't persist. Because like you just mentioned with the different strategies, pick 1 or 2 strategies. And again, I heard this again, and this topic is just perfect timing, because I've really been honest with myself and look, pick a couple things, and actually down to the point of scheduling my day. Okay, I'm going to do this at this hour, and I'm going to do this at this hour. And I resist doing that because I'm this free spirit, right? I work from home. My time is mine. I don't want to be down to a schedule as if I were at a job. But for me, I realize there's so much going on in my day that if I don't schedule it, focus on it, but actually stay on the task, when all the other things are going by, to persist. And even when maybe it looks like that task is never going to, I don't want to say, be done or come to fruition or whatever, is to still stay focused on it until you've mastered it. I think is probably some things we've heard is master that task. And so, yeah, failure is huge, focus is huge, and also staying on task. Persistence, finishing the job. Maybe finishing is another F-bomb.
Yeah. We're gonna have a ton of F-bombs by the end of this hangout. Yeah, definitely. I like what you said. I want to touch on this a little bit about, when life kind of comes at you, when you've finally decided to focus on that one thing. And when you do that, there will be all of these other things that literally get thrown at you. And I think it's there to test you. Say, hey, do you really want to focus on this thing? Well, let's see how much you want it. Like, do you really want it? The universe is going to throw all this stuff at me. And what am I going to do? How am I going to react to it? And most people will run off to the next shiny ball, as we call it, shiny ball syndrome, and look at the big glittery thing over there. And they'll forget about what they just decided to focus on. And it's a vicious cycle for many, many marketers, many, many entrepreneurs. And as I keep saying, we've all been there. And I think that the only way we can actually learn and get through it is by being there and realizing, becoming aware that that's what we're actually doing. And then saying, hey, I am just going to focus on this one thing. And I'm not going to let anything else distract me. I'm going to put the blinders on, and just hoe down and focus in on that one thing. And it's extremely difficult to do, but the more you do it, I think the easier it becomes. In my experience, that's how it is. The more I've done it, the easier it becomes. And, not only the noise online, I mean, you've got life going on around you. Things happen. Something unexpected could happen. You have to go and do something. A lot of people out there are still working their full-time jobs, their part-time jobs. And I like what you said, Regina. This is what I do as well. I handwrite everything pretty much. Even when I go to events and everybody's sitting there with their iPads and their iPhones and their laptops, I'm old-fashioned. I will get my notepad out and I will handwrite things. And the reason I do that is because when I do that, it actually submerges into my subconscious mind. I actually take in the information better than when I'm typing.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are studies for that. Actually, they also encourage, I've heard studies to actually, when you write, to write in blue ink. Blue ink. When you write in blue ink, and blue ink actually hits the subconscious even better. So just look out there for those who, like us, like to write it all down. Yeah, I have lists and things laying all over the place with with my to-do list or ideas. Matter of fact, you had mentioned something, and this is what I do because sometimes my brain is going so fast that I'll be on a task and an idea will pop up. Like, oh, this would be a good blog post. Well, I can bounce over there and do a blog post and then be away from here. And then I'm over there going, oh yeah, I was doing that. And I bounce over here. So what I started doing is actually writing on a notebook. I carry a notebook with me everywhere. And when I get an inspiration or an idea, if I can't implement it right away, I'll write it down. And I have a whole bunch of draft blog posts where a title has come up or a topic. And I'm just like, okay, go in there, start the topic and leave, exit fast and go back to what you were doing. And so that's a little tip that might help people. And maybe some people can leave us comments on some other useful things that they've used to kind of stay on track, but also listen to the inspirations. Because if I ignore myself, if I say, oh, I'll remember that later, then later comes up and I'm like, man, that was a good idea. What was I thinking? What was it that I had in mind? What was I going to do? Or if I'm driving, I'll do the voice recorder on my phone and I'll talk to my phone. Because sometimes I get crazy enough, get my best ideas in the shower and when I'm driving, and you're not supposed to be on the phone, right? And so I like to do that kind of thing. But I'd love to hear some other people's comments if they want to leave comments in the area there. Let us know some other tips they have. But
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I'm going to be writing in blue ink from now on for sure.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, as like yourself, I've got my handwritten notes everywhere. Our uncashed checks, as we like to say. You know, I
Exactly.
have mountains and mountains of notepads piling up. So, and just on what you just said, another time when we also get great ideas, well, I find is in the middle of the night. Like sometimes when you wake up in the middle of the night or you've been dreaming about something or something's in your subconscious mind. And then in
Yep.
the morning, if you haven't written it down somewhere, it's gone. You're like, what was that?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
On the way to the restroom that one morning, you got to wake up early. You have that brilliant idea. Yeah. Yeah. Been there.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, same as you, Regina. I have a notebook as well, and you know, if I'm not in my home, I will put it in my little notes section on my phone, or I will record it. We pretty much do the same things, which is interesting. Um, the other thing is when people are writing the good old to-do list, sometimes they don't write it with the priorities at the top. And this is something that I also learned as well. You can write your to-do list, but you want to make it so that the things that you really need to get done, the most important things, are at the very top, because a lot of the time we won't get the whole list done in that single day. Okay, and this is what I do. I'll write my list out the night before. Otherwise, if I don't write out that list, I've got all those things like flying around my head and I actually can't sleep. That's what happens to me. But if I write it down, I feel like it's just been detached from my brain for like 8 hours and I'm actually putting it onto the paper and it can stay there till the next day, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure you prioritize what you need to do with those things at the top. And the things that are the least priority at the bottom, if you don't get to those in that day, it's okay. You can add them onto the list for the next day. So, and when you do those things, this is going to sound, you know, kind of, I don't know, it's a small thing, but to me, it's actually a big thing. Once you've done that thing, cross it off, tick it off, like exit out, whatever it is. Because when I do that, I just feel really accomplished. I don't know what it is. Whenever I can just like cross something off my list, I just feel like, yep, I got that done. I feel really accomplished. I focused on that thing and I got it done and now I can cross it off. And
I think psychologically, it just makes you feel like you've actually done it. You've achieved it. So very helpful.
yeah, it's like that good old saying from, oh God, I've gone blank. Bruce Lee, you know, I don't fear the man who's practiced 1,000 kicks one time. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 1,000 times. And that goes back to us talking about mastery. If you're throwing yourself all over the place, you aren't going to be able to master any one single skill, any one single strategy, because again, you haven't focused on it. You've focused on attempting to master 10 other things, which you can't really do in a set amount of time. You know, it's like that good old other saying, a jack of all trades, but master of none. You know, that saying's been around for a long time. And a lot of people think that it's okay to, you know, to dive into all these different things, and it is, but you've really got to look at what the end result is. Are you actually getting anything done? Are you actually crossing anything off that list? You know, and I looked up the definition of focus today just to take a look at what it actually means. And I've got a few notes here. It actually came up with a few interesting things. The actual optic meaning for the word focus is a focal point of a lens. So if you want to think of your life as a lens, one of those manual lenses that you have to focus so that it's not blurry anymore, or a set of binoculars. If you imagine that, that's what we want to do. We want to really sharpen in and focus on exactly a central point that we want to pay attention to. The definitions always talk about paying attention, directing your actual, whatever it is, the activity that you're doing, the central point, any particular attention. So another saying, as we say, is where the focus goes, the energy flows. So you want to make sure that you're actually focusing your attention on a central point to get towards an end result. If you're too busy focusing on 1,000 different things at the one time, or the wrong thing at the wrong time, you're not going to get the result that you want. And I think that's also a big psychological factor with us entrepreneurs, is allowing the right information to submerge into our subconscious. This leads us into talking about who are you surrounding yourself with? And this is a big one. I want to touch on this a little bit because one of the great leaders within our industry, David Sharp, had put out a great video today. I'm not sure if you saw it, Regina, but it's in regards to this topic. And he went on at the beginning to talk about how a lot of the times that as entrepreneurs, we look at other entrepreneurs and their success that they're having, and we kind of beat ourselves up over it because we don't have that success yet. And he said something great that really resonated with me. He said, don't compare your insides with somebody else's outsides.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Very powerful, isn't it? Don't compare someone else's insides with your outsides. And when I heard that, I thought, wow. And we almost do that subconsciously. We'll take a look at somebody else's success and we're happy for them. But then deep down inside, we go, oh, why don't I have that success yet? They've made it look easy. What am I not doing that they're doing? We get all these little thoughts that come into our mind. But what we don't realize is all of those successful people came from the same place as we came from. And that's what we always forget. And he went on to say that, nobody came through the back door. Nobody came through the window. We all came through the same front door, all of us, and we all climbed up the same set of stairs. And we're all on different paths in that journey. So the timing of that is going to vary according to a number of factors when you got started. A lot of the time people see successful people and they don't realize that they may have struggled for many, many years before their success. And that is majority of successful people. Most of them didn't get it handed to them. Yeah. And a lot of people have that misconception that anyone who's successful, anybody that's so-called rich in the industry, or anybody at all that is successful, that they just got that handed to them. And majority of the time they didn't.
Something else that came up for me that I've experienced is, as and I've said it to, for example, going to events and talking to leaders that have had maybe that popcorn success and they've taken off and it's come very quickly. And I know they have well intentions, but I had to come to terms with the journey is mine. And the journey of growth is mine. And my business is going to grow as much as I do and as fast as I do and as big as I do. So my journey, my internal journey is my journey. So although, yes, I'd like it to be like 30 days and I'm a millionaire, or 60 days or whatever, the journey is my journey. And I found it sometimes I had to be very strong in going to events and chatting with people, and they go, well, you just need to make a decision. You could be successful tomorrow. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to the decision, but I had to be very careful not to let that beat me up and just stay focused on what I wanted to achieve. And it always came back around to what do I want? What do I want in my life? And being good with the fact that it's a journey. It's a journey of growth. It's a journey of getting better. It's a journey of improvement. And all of it's coming in my time, what's good for me. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if you've had any experiences with that where you have to be real careful not to let it beat yourself up. Because I don't believe they meant it maliciously. It's all with good intention and a way to support and encourage. But I had to really check myself and say, no, focus, it's my journey. My time will come when it's my time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think we've all felt that way. We see someone and they look like they've done it all and they've done it so easily, and they may have done it in a really short amount of time. And here I am, struggling, and I've been struggling for many, many years. Like, why am I not succeeding yet? And as you said, Regina, we're all on our own journey. We're all so different. We've all grown up differently in different situations and different circumstances, and we have to embrace the actual journey and know that we're all on our own path. And nobody just got there doing nothing. Nobody just got there. There's not some big, huge secret that they know that we didn't know. You know, they basically, as Dave Sharp said in his video, he said, you got to put your heels in the dirt and prepare for this season of your life. Yeah. You know, you've got to get in there and you've got to realize that you're going to have to get dirty and you're going to have to put in the work. And that's what every successful person has done. And sometimes some people get that success earlier than others, but that's just part of their journey. And we all have our own unique journey to follow. And I think a lot of it also comes down to who we are surrounding ourselves with. I mean, if you're building a business from home and you don't have a support network around you, it's going to be difficult for you. A lot of the time, people's spouses, people's friends, people's family members, they don't understand what it is that you're doing. And it's not like you can just shut the door on your family, especially if you live with them. So you need to be sure that you have a community of people around you that are going to lift you up, that actually do understand you and know exactly where you're coming from. So you really want to think about who those people are that you are surrounding yourself with. You know, I'm not saying to shut people out of your life, but are the people that you're surrounding yourself with, are they bringing you useful information? Are they being positive? Are they bringing you, value and motivation and inspiration into your life? Because if they're filled with negativity and they just want to crush your dreams, then you might want to think about spending a lot less time with that person. So I think that's really important as well. Dan actually asked a question here. Let me see if I can bring that up. Alicia or Regina, back to writing the to-do list down and you don't get everything done. How do you prioritize the next day's to-do with the items carried over? That's actually a really good question. So when you write your list and you've got the priorities at the top and there might be a few at the bottom that you don't get done, if you want to carry them over to the next day, it really depends on what it is. There should be a time frame for that specific thing as to when to get that done. Otherwise, you'll find yourself getting into a pattern of throwing those few things onto the list every single day, and those things will never actually get done. So what I would do, Dan, and everybody else out there that's watching this, and even myself, now that I think about this, is whatever that thing is, there's got to be some sort of time frame to it. There's got to be a point where you can say, look, this is something that's not extremely prioritized right now, but I do need to get it done within a few days, or I do need to get it done within the next couple of weeks. And at that point, you need to bump it up in your priority list so it does actually get done. Because if you keep it at the bottom, it's probably never going to get done, if that makes sense. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Regina, but that's what my thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I actually replied to that for him. And my thing is to look at it and decide what's the goal. If the goal is, and I said, for example, income producing, then what's going to get the most value in terms of income producing activity, and then prioritize that way. Because I mean, like, for example, I've got so many emails, like in the thousands, lots of emails, and it might be a good idea to go and get those all cleaned up. But if I know I need to get for example, an ad done because I'm going to do it on a Facebook ad, and that might be more of an income producing activity than getting my email sorted through. That kind of example. And so that was my thing, is if it carries over, just what is it in terms of what you need, like you said, what's the most important thing to get done that day? If it's income producing, which, I agree with you, is probably should be 80% of what we're doing is income producing, then prioritize that way. And then the rest can kind of fall to the bottom, or, assuming we're talking about business. I mean, of course, if you've got something from your business that pulls over and then your kid gets hurt and you go to the hospital, it's a huge difference. two different scenarios there.
Yeah, definitely. I hope that answers your question, Dan. But I think that's some awesome insight there, and that's really what it boils down to. It's what is the priority and what is the income producing activity that you want to achieve. You may have to take that extra 20 minutes instead of reading that night. You might need to take that 20 minutes to set up that Facebook ad that you've been thinking about or talking about for so long. Often it's the things that we prioritize that we know that we have to do that we don't kind of want to do. They might not be as fun. A lot of us out there would rather, create our pretty images for our blog posts and actually go ahead and, set up the Facebook campaign or, write the email copy. There's certain things that we prefer to do than others. And often we get into that trap as well, where we only do the things that we want to do. We don't do the things that we need to do. I think that's a big one as well. It's focus. It's all discipline. Discipline is a huge one. And as we've been saying, nobody is there to tell you what to do and when to do it. And this leads me into a funny story. A good friend of mine, he actually tagged me in a video that he posted on Facebook the other day. And he's an amazing international singer and musician that I worked with in different countries across the world. And he had signed up to the gym and had a personal trainer, which is great. And he couldn't believe what he was seeing, so he had to record it. And there was a guy that was being stretched out by his trainer. He was laying on the ground and getting stretched out with his legs and things. And the guy was on his phone while this was happening. So you've got the instructor stretching this guy's legs out while he's laying on the floor. And the guy that's on the floor, who should be focusing on the actual stretch after the exercise, after the workout, was too busy on his phone, probably updating his status at that point in time. And it's a really funny video when you see it, but I'm sure you can imagine it, because I'm sure that you see this every day in life. I mean, the next time you sit down at a restaurant, look around and see how many people are on their phones. And I would bet that more than half of that room is on their phones, unless there's many, many elderly people in the room who don't have cell phones. Okay, and I kind of find this sad. And once again, we're all victim to this. I've made a conscious decision to put the phone down, put it on silent, turn it over, turn it off, especially when we're building this online business where we're constantly connected to the online world. And when you're out to dinner with somebody or with family and friends, that's about connecting with that person. It's not about sitting on the phone. It's where is your focus? And I see it every single day in all sorts of situations, but the big one is when you go out to eat somewhere. And I look around and I'm like, man, this is kind of sad, What did we do without cell phones? What did we do? We actually talk to each other. And it's crazy. You see people in the gym who are doing the same thing. They cannot focus on what they're actually doing. They've taken the effort, they've taken the action to get to the gym, and they're doing what they need to do. But even when they have a personal trainer, they've still got one hand on the phone and they're texting or doing whatever they're doing. And even though it's a stretch, you've still got to focus on what you're actually doing. And if that was me, if I was the personal trainer, I'd be kind of pretty pissed off about that. I'd be like, hey, you got to put the phone down for the next 30 minutes or 1 hour so we can actually focus, so I can get you the best results. So there's so much technology going on these days. I mean, I even see many, many children in restaurants. The parents will give them the iPad or the iPhone to shut them up and, keep them, behaving well and things like that, which is fine. The kids are playing games and things like that. But I think that a lot of the time we have to be aware of how much technology is actually controlling our lives and the relationships that we have with other people. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Regina, what you've noticed.
I'm guilty, not of stretching and with my, and getting that kind of instruction, having the phone out. But I notice as a marketer, I tend to walk around always looking for something to use, if that makes sense. Like, I can walk my dog in the morning and see a picture and think, okay, well, I can share that on my social media channels. And it doesn't have to be a business. It has to be me. It's my life. So I'm guilty of always, I'll be honest with you, even sitting in church, if the pastor says something and it sparks an idea in my mind, like today was talking about legacy, leaving a legacy. And it's interesting because over the last couple of days, my business to serve people. not just to make money, and not just, it's not always about money, but how can I serve people? How can I serve the community I'm in, or the situation that people find themselves in here in my community? And as I was listening to message, and he's talking about leaving a legacy and truly serving people and you know, getting in depth in the message, I thought, man, that's really something I could share of inspiration, or, you know, something to share on my Facebook page. So I am really guilty of always turned on, so to speak, looking for something I can use in a marketing message. And I don't mean marketing like go buy my thing. It's not always about that. It's a lot of times just sharing freedom. You know, my whole life, it's about freedom. It's about being free. And so I like to share the different aspects of being free. And obviously I'm here in Hawaii, so I share a lot of that. So yeah, it's interesting though, but I've really, like you said, the important thing is learning to focus on the people I'm with. So I've gotten better here, where we decided we're just going to sit for an hour and watch mindless TV. That I will put the computer away and put the phone away and just sit and watch mindless TV with my daughter. And you know, just give myself that time to be disengaged, because I'm one of those people who loves social media, loves online. I mean, the one thing I couldn't live with or live without would be my phone and being able to be on Facebook and Instagram and all that. And so I'm learning how to unplug more, where I'll go sit out in the yard and just enjoy the stars in the sky, because you can actually see them here, and just not take the phone, not have it with me. So I'm not always like in the dark looking at my phone instead of stars.
Yeah, it's like, you know, people head to the bathroom and they've got their phone and, you know.
Yeah, that's a little odd there. My pet peeve is not being on the phone when you're in the restroom. You know, especially in the ladies' room. How many times we've all gone in there and there's somebody on the phone? I'm like, oh, okay, do I flush? You know? So,
yeah, that is an odd one. Yeah, that's an odd one. I think that crosses the line, that one.
The phone goes away. It's like, look, I'll be right back. You know? So it's interesting, because I think, you know, we have to find that. I'm reluctant to say balance, because I don't know that life can always be perfectly balanced. But I believe we have to, again, focus on what it is you want to do at that particular time. Like if I'm going to work out, then that's my focus for that hour or two of the day. I don't want to be working out and doing the laundry and then, you know, making a blog post all at the same time. So if I've decided that at 7 a.m. in the morning is my workout time, that's where my focus is. And then the next hour is whatever I've decided. And that's what I've come down to, is going, okay, the day starts out here. By this time I'm doing this. And I really resist that, because I don't want to be regimented. I quit, you know, I got out of my job. I quit wearing a watch because I didn't want to have to be anywhere at a certain time doing a certain thing. But as my business is growing and as I'm getting busier and my life is busier, and having a child too, for those of us that have children, you know, as they get older, they have stuff that they kind of interject in your life. Focus on what the task is at that moment, and have a plan of what the focus is going to be throughout the day.
Yeah, I think that's a big one, especially for people who have children, and you know how much time and energy that you can spend with them and give them. You really do need to prioritize what you're doing and make sure that you do have time for you, and in our case, our business as well, whether that's only an hour or two a day. Some people are still working full-time jobs and they have children, and they're finding it very difficult to still build their business. And you do have to make that priority to spend an hour a day, 2 hours a day, 30 minutes, whatever it is. And I really like what you said about how you have a time where you choose to not take the phone with you. You switch off from it. I think that's a really good exercise and habit for people to get into. You know, I've been saying this for a little while, and I'm going to actually get started quite soon. I've never meditated before. It's something I've never done, but I really feel that it will be good for me, and I want to get started with doing that. And I'm at the point now where I just need to get going. You know, I've been a professional dancer my whole life and physically fit and been into exercise and all sorts of different art forms and things like that, but I've never actually done meditation, and I think it'll be very good for me, because I'm a person who has a zillion different thoughts floating around my head 24/7. And even when I'm sleeping, it's hard for me to switch off. And if I've been working on, in my business that day, if I've been focusing on emails, I will actually dream about freaking emails. I'll wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm dreaming about my email and my subscribers and what I did today. Like, I'm like, oh my God, this is, I got to switch off. And it's crazy because it's immersed in my subconscious mind that never switches off. Yeah. So I end up dreaming about these things. So I think meditation would be great for me to start to learn so that I can learn to switch off a little bit more. I mean, as you as well, you said, Regina, when I do my workout, I'm just focused on that. I can't be, running to check my Facebook and, when the little ding goes off in the middle of doing my diamond push-ups. But you know what? I bet there's a lot of people out there that do.
Got the phone underneath them, like, okay, yeah.
That's it.
It's funny that you said that about meditation, because that's been a huge awareness of mine. And I've actually, been asking myself, okay, how do I incorporate more of that as a structured time of the day, not just whenever I happen to be so tired I sit down. And, the challenge for me, like you said, is that the mind just never stops. But one thing I did hear about that is that your mind will never stop. It's about refocusing it. So to maybe focus on the breath and just refocus it back, because it's important for me, because I believe that we get more inspiration and we have more clarity on what it is we want to accomplish in the little bit of time we have every day, when we've given some time to plug in, so to speak, when we've given some time to allow your source, God, universe, whatever yours is, whatever you call it, to connect and allow that to flow and to be filled with that. And so it's really interesting that you said that, because that's a goal of mine as well. And I think that's why I've intentionally just put. Now here's the challenge, because I carry my phone because it keeps track of the steps I take every day. Mm-hmm. And so it's like a I don't know, I'm crazy to see if I can beat yesterday's goal and have at least 2 more steps or something. But I've realized, okay, stop, put the phone down, go out and tend to that, which is just decompress, to sit with the dog and listen to birds and whatever's chirping at night. And so it's interesting. I like that. I like that you shared that. That's cool. We might have to keep each other accountable. Like, hey, did you meditate?
Yeah, I think we are, because I mean, I've researched it a little bit, just so that I could I think to myself, well, I think I know how to do it, but let me kind of just take a look and see what the beginner form of it is. So I've taken a look at a few videos and things, and now I'm at the point where I just need to get started, that point where I've got to, get going.
Here's an interesting challenge that I've had, and I don't know if it's, my past as a law enforcement officer, working as a police officer and a sergeant. I have, like, for example, I'll sit out in my yard. I've actually put a table kind of in my driveway, so to speak. It's rocky, grassy driveway, but I just stuck it out there because we want a place to sit. And I find it very challenging to sit with my eyes closed, because it's a vulnerable state. And I'm not really protected. I'm kind of in my front yard. Or if I were to go down to the beach, same thing, to sit with my eyes closed. And I remember sitting there yesterday or the day before asking myself, can you meditate with your eyes open? Can I focus on my breathing? Can I focus on a bird? Can I focus on a leaf? And do it with my eyes open, yet still be meditating in a sense. And so that's kind of where I'm at, is because I find it very vulnerable to have my eyes closed. Mm-hmm. And that's just something I'm working through, is to just trust it all is well, right? All is well. That's kind of an interesting dynamic that I've experienced, because I don't want to sit in my dark house. I want to be outside with nature. But do I trust enough to close my eyes, or can I meditate with my eyes open? So I'll have to research that.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point. I'll have to research that too. It would be a huge challenge for me, because my eye always goes to, I'm like a cat. If something moves, my eye goes to it. And I used to, I still do. I get called Hawkeye when I'm working with dancers during our performances, because I can see everything. My peripheral vision is just off the charts, and I'm always aware of everything, kind of like a cat. So for me, that would be.
Oh, it is. I see geckos and bugs and birds and rabbits next door, and chickens and chickies, and That's the challenge. But it's like, can I just refocus, or is it just a matter of being still? It is maybe a matter of being still. And it's interesting that meditation has come up here. Can meditation be the focus? Where you actually take your focus to nothing, to openness, instead of having to be doing something, because focus doesn't have to always be doing, does it? So is meditation actually a focus? And it's just a focus on just being and maybe perceiving. I love nature and birds and things. So when I see that, it warms my heart to see a flower, to see a bird, a bug, even a centipede. I don't want to see them too close, but so could that be a form of focus?
Yeah.
Maybe see that and come back to just realizing that it's just, it's your world, it's your universe, it's alive, it's energy in that particular form. So we could use that to our advantage.
Yeah, definitely. I'm so glad that you brought that up, and I think that's a major breakthrough that we're having right now, and hopefully the people out there watching are having it too. That meditation is often seen as a thing that to just kind of get away from all the noise and the thinking and the busy lives that we have, but at the same time it's focusing on the energy of just being, like what you said, Regina, just being still. I mean, and as you said, from coming from your background, to close your eyes, that would be a major challenge.
It's very vulnerable. Yeah, very vulnerable.
Yeah, and it's awesome that you want to combat that challenge, and you're willing to kind of be aware of it and face it head on and say, hey, well, maybe I can completely switch, the way I've been focusing and focus on something else, and meditation might just be it. That may just help. So wow.
It comes back to deciding the world that we want to create, right? I believe that we have the power to create the world and the life that we want to live. And if I'm constantly allowing fear to show up, or allowing, I might get hurt if I close my eyes and somebody comes up on me in the beach or something, then I'm focusing on what I don't want, instead to focus on what I do want, which is to sit quietly and connect with my source. And, the best way is with your eyes closed, because I'm not going to see every little crab coming out of the sand and everybody and their, kids on the beach and all that, and have the mind go off somewhere. But at the same time, maybe it's the whole challenge is to be able to do that eyes wide open and still stay focused on breathing, So it's actually is an exercise in focus, because instead of worrying about what she's wearing or what her kids are doing or some crab coming out of the sand, it's to come back to focusing on just being, to acknowledge that, go, oh yeah, that's great, and come back. And I've heard that with people that meditate, is the thoughts will come up. Even with your eyes closed, you'll have the thoughts come up. The whole thing is to acknowledge that, thank you for that thought, and to come back to whatever you're focusing on. A lot of people say breathing, maybe it's a place in your mind or something like that. So yeah.
It's training your mind once again to focus in a certain direction and on that only. So
well, imagine if two people like us can train ourselves to be focused in that little bit of time we give ourselves to do that. How much better are we going to be able to focus when it comes down to, okay, this is blog post hour, this is syndicating hour, this is reading hour. We're going to be better able to focus because we're actually doing that when it's not for any, outside purpose, I guess you could say. I think it inevitably all comes together. The more time you give to be still and go in, you manifest more outside, is my opinion.
Yeah, it's so true. It's that whole thing of, you got to stop and smell the roses, Yeah. Most people don't. Like what you said, it's stopping and looking at the beauty of that flower or whatever it is, the centipedes or, whatever it is. Most of the time, we don't do that. We don't stop and do that. And I remember taking a picture of our cat one time. We had beautiful flowers. Most cats, when you get flowers, they come up and they smell them and they love being around them. And she was literally smelling the flowers. I think they may have been roses. And I took this beautiful picture of her and I posted it. I was like, remember to smell the flowers today. And a lot of people, everybody loved it, and
yeah, awesome.
Often animals will do that kind of thing. But us humans, we forget to do things like that. We just, once again, we're not focusing on the beauty and the nature that can be around us. And it doesn't have to be flowers. It can be, you know, something simple and just being grateful for what's around us. We forget to focus on those things, and we often just focus on our busy lives and the negativity that comes with it. So it's really, I think today really boils down to, well, Regina and I getting started with meditation. That's one thing. We've put it out there now live in front of everybody. We're going to do that. And hopefully some people out there, if you're not already doing it, you might give it a shot as well. So yeah, it's going to give us a new sense of focus, which will be great. And whether it's with our eyes closed or open, stay tuned and we'll let you know. But yeah, it's basically just becoming aware. I mean, it's not only in business as entrepreneurs, it's in everyday life. It's in anything that you're doing. You know, we all have the choice to focus on different things, and it's just being aware of what we're focusing on. A lot of the time it's sitting down and saying, hey, look, what are the things that I focused on today? Did I focus on the negativity I saw on the news? Did I focus on that bad thing that happened? You know, how can you shift your focus and how can you reframe that, whatever that thing is, and turn it into something good and learn from it and grow from it? I think that's, you know, pretty much what it boils down to. And making that list, prioritizing that list and just getting to it. You've got to take action. And you can do that right now by hitting the link below. You can, you know, you can talk all day. Most people will talk the talk, but how many people really walk the walk? And that's the question that we ask you today. You know, are you going to get started? Are you going to hit that link below and focus on getting towards the success that you want? Because we know that you want that, or you wouldn't be watching this right now. And for those of you that are already a part of our community, think about how you can focus more on what you need to do. You know, yes, it's challenging. We've all been there, but we really do need to, you know, use the tips that we've spoken about today. And if you do have any, as Regina said, leave them below and we'll keep checking in. Even if you're watching the replay, leave them below and let us know, because we're always open to, you know, helping our focus as much as we can and bringing things to the next level. Because if you're all over the place, if you're all over the shop, as I like to say, nothing's going to get done. You don't want to be a, what I call an ideologist, where you've got all these great ideas. And I know so many people that have got all these great ideas. You know, so many people, like my neighbors next door, like people that you meet down the street, anyone, they have these amazing ideas and they never actually take action on them. They never focus on them. And I think that also comes down to, as we like to say, our why. Why are we doing what we're doing? What is, you know, have you created a clear vision for yourself? What is it that you want? And having the belief that you can actually achieve it is really big as well. Most people out there, they really don't think, or they've been told that they can't do something, so they never do it. It's always, oh, someday I'll do that. You know, I'll get to that someday, and that someday never happens. So you've really got to sit down and focus on what it is that you want in your life and make some changes, make some choices, and get started with medication. I was about to say medication. Meditation.
Medication too, I guess, if you want.
Meditation, like we will, and you know, get yourself going. Try something new. I don't like to say the word try, because a try is presupposition.
You do or you do not. There is no try. You just do it or you don't.
Yeah, that's what Yoda says.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, and you know that it just really comes up to that. We can't lie. It takes work, and I think, as you were saying that about most people don't follow through on their ideas, is because they don't want to put forth the effort, and that's what separates, you know, the achievers and the dreamers and the entrepreneurs and the people that actually go after and get what they want, is because they're willing to put in the work. And you know, I'm sure you can attest to this too. That is, you know, we put in a lot of hours, and we've worked when everybody else is watching TV or swimming or going wherever and doing other things, and we've just stayed behind and done our work. And sometimes when you focus on something and you really want it and you focus on it hard, you're willing to do the work, because you keep focusing on the result that you want. You keep focusing on the goal, where you're going. And so again, click that link below. That's your first step, and your first work is to click the link. and get started and go from there. And the good thing is it's not anything anybody has to do alone.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a system that actually helps us stay focused. It really does. You know, like I'm thinking like the 8 core commitments and things like that we have that kind of keep us focused and you know, like a hangout like this once a week. You can show up to a hangout once a week and listen, keep you focused. Our team calls and things like that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You know, it really is about pretty much, you know, it's all about how bad you want it. You know, it really is. It's all about how bad you really want to make that work. And, you know, you can go out and watch people out on the beach and be out there yourself. But what if you could live every day like that? What if you could, you know, do things now in your life that most people are willing not to do in order to live the rest of your life how most people can't? What if you could do that? We're not saying that you're going to be able to build a business without doing the work. But what if you could take, you know, a few months vacation while your business worked for you? What if you could do those types of things? What if you could, you know, spend time with your family and friends whenever you wanted to? What if you didn't have any debt? Like, what if you didn't have all of these financial issues going on? What if you could get on a plane and go and visit somebody? There are so many what ifs. And with what we do here, you're capable of achieving that. We're not guaranteeing any type of results. Income disclosure, our results are not typical. And if you're watching this, you are not typical either. And you can view our live income disclosure. It's updated every 24 hours. I believe we are one of the only companies within our industry that has an updated live income disclosure every 24 hours of the average results. But if you look at that, you don't want to be average. Okay, you don't want average results, so that's not you. And there's a link at the bottom of this page to go and check that out as well, or you can go to income.maverixlifestyles.com. But you know, I never want to look at results. I don't ever like to look at reviews on movies even, because one person's opinion may not be mine. And a lot of the time I think people get very swayed and very influenced by other people's opinions without forming their own. And, you know, if you want to be a leader within this industry, if you want to create your own legacy and build your own vision, you've got to have your own beliefs and your own opinions about things and work towards that end result. So click that button below and get started. And I want to leave you guys with a little quote. I'm not sure who said this, but I put it up on Facebook the other day and I wrote, note to self, trust the process, your time is coming. Just do the work and the results will handle themselves.
That's a good one.
Say it one more time. Trust the process, your time is coming. Just do the work and the results will handle themselves. And if you do step inside this entrepreneurial journey, that's what you need to remember. As we've been talking about tonight, do not compare yourself to anybody else but yourself. Your biggest competition is yourself and how far you can go and succeed and focus on what you want in your life. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end today's broadcast. We want to thank you all for being with us today. And Regina, it's been awesome to have you with us today. You always share so much value, and it's, you know, an honor and privilege to, you know, share this time with you and our viewers. So thanks for coming out once again.
Very cool to be here.
Awesome. So we will see you guys same time, same place next week with a different topic. Who knows? It could be part 2 of the F-bomb. Now that we've got many F-bombs out there, thanks to Dan and what we've talked about today. So yeah, hit that button below and we will see you guys same time, same place next week. Have a good night.
See you later.